I can't stare at Jim without laughing. Folks, welcome. I don't know why. On today's show, stay tuned. We have an interview with Wayne Black is back. You know him. He's the securities expert and author of School Insecurities. Joining Wayne is Tia Bess. Finally, we've been trying to get her on the show for quite a while. She is the National Engagement Director for Moms for Liberty. She's based out of Clay County, Florida. They're both here to discuss school security issues and what's going on in that area and how they both mesh. So stay tuned for that. Also on the show, Speaker Johnson hits back at the Senate. Yes, we have a speaker. We haven't talked about it yet. And also, more terrorist suspects are reaching the United States. That plus a few other stories we're going to talk about on today's what, Jim?
Two guys, one kid.
Welcome to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of two average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
I don't want to say follow us on Rumble right
No, you don't, folks. Listen, we gotta talk. I have no idea what's going on with Rumble. Our last, and of course, it's the one with Commander O'Shea, right?
Mhm,
Like it's
right.
it's probably my favorite discussion I've ever had on the show to date.
Yep.
And of course, Rumble is having issues uploading that video. No reason. There's nothing. I don't know what to say. It's on YouTube. We're on YouTube currently, so find it there. It's episode 163, our last episode. Go to YouTube and listen to it and share it and all that. But there's something screwy going on with Rumble. And I literally have tried to upload this video 5 separate times.
It was one of our longest interviews. You think maybe it has something to do with the size? I don't know.
Show length. I mean, the whole show length was an hour and 47 minutes. We've been that or close to that before. I don't think it's that. It literally, and I don't want to go into the explanation of it, but it gets to a certain point and it just, like when whole windows like loading, blah, 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 99%, and then it just dead stops. There's nothing else happening. So those who subscribe to our channel and follow us, I can post that video on Rumble and you can see it. But those who do not, just in the general public, and we get a lot of that, they'd have to sign up for a Rumble account, then follow us, then they'd be able to watch it. So regardless of what happens, I'll probably end up just leaving it on Rumble. It just may not be available to the general public. But if you are following us on Rumble, and please still do, I think this is an anomaly. I don't think this is permanent. Then you'll be able to see the video and the interview, and it's a must. It absolutely is a must. Amazing individual. And again, super honored that he gave us the time he did, So.
He had to rush CNN.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. He rushed CNN. And then Rumble won't post the video. So anyways, I don't even know what to say about it, but it's frustrating as hell. So what I did is I was like, okay, well, let's try YouTube. We did. They accepted it. It's on there.
Yep.
Again, for how long? I'm certain we said something to offend the YouTube world on there.
I'm pretty sure there was a reference.
Yeah.
About the election. I mean,
and I'm sure that'll be the end of that. So catch it while you can, folks. Head on over to YouTube, who I don't necessarily support, but if you want to hear that video, that right now is the only spot it can be heard at. I am still trying to download that on Rumble. I have emailed Rumble because it's really the only way you can get through to anybody at that place. You certainly can't call Mr. Rumble and say, why is this happening? Or a technical support person. And they don't offer a chat that's worth a shit. So that's what I'm waiting on, their email response. And I'm waiting with bated breath because I'm sure I'll get one. I won't. It's frustrating. I'm mad. Jim knows how anal I am about these things and how much.
Well,
and it's because we put in the work, Jim.
Well, the work you put in editing it and getting
the work we
everything
put
up.
in.
Yeah,
we
I get
research
it.
our guests. We spend the time doing it. And then that kind of crap happens. And I know it's out of my control and I can't help it, but it frustrates the shit out of me. So, anyways, Jim, is there anything nice to talk about? Let's start with something real quick.
Oh yeah, the economy.
Yeah, it's really going well. I mean, I've noticed that, things are costing less at the store I think gas went to $2.98 here. Gallon.
It's over $3 here.
Well, I mean, you live in the highfalutin areas of Indiana, so I mean,
ridiculous, man. It is.
It doesn't really affect your pocketbook as much as it does mine. So,
not at all. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, with your compound you live in and all the other stuff, and that's it really is. Yeah. It's good. It's good to be Jim.
I guess I forgot to. I guess I haven't noticed the gate. I guess I don't live in a gated community.
You don't have a gate because you don't believe in closed borders. You're an open border, open door kind of guy. You're like anybody wants to come in, come on in. So
not completely
yeah, it's just like completely. Just like Israel should let Palestine in. We'll talk about that some other time. Please do. Well, I'm just going to say, Jim,
we promise we'll behave.
I'm just going to say, Jim and I interviewed, and you'll see it next week on a special episode. It'll be separate from our normal shows, but it will be aired next Wednesday as a separate episode because it was a long interview, an hour, and so we don't want to drag on a show for that long. But we interviewed a geopolitical expert, somebody who has spent a lifetime, a career and a lifetime over in the Middle East and Afghanistan and Iran and Syria. I mean, she said all sorts of places wherever she was. And let's just say she may have a different opinion than the two guys, one crew. Yeah, very cordial interview, no doubt about it. Most of our listeners. And everybody.
Well, and again, we wanted this interview to go out because we want. There's nothing wrong with hearing the other side.
There's nothing
wrong with discussing it, and there's nothing wrong with having a discussion. And look, it all comes down to it. We all wish peace, right? We all wish everybody liked everybody. We always wish nobody had to do this and do that.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, we don't live that way. Unfortunately, we have people that want to attack us because of who we are. Not because of what we've done,
correct,
but who we are. And, you're just going to have that. Yeah. So we'll move on from that.
Yeah, I know. It's just a different opinion that
it is.
You and I
she's entitled to
disagree with.
Yep. She's entitled to it.
She is, and she was very cordial and very nice, and it was a good debate. Mm-hmm. It was. Mm-hmm. It wasn't contentious in any way, and so that's what debate should be about. Yeah. In the end, she's wrong, but anyways,
yeah, that's how you should debate.
In the end, she's wrong.
Not what's about to happen with the third Republican. Because they just start hating each other and talking.
No shit.
We have the exact same plan to fix it, but he's stupid. So he.
Pence dropped out. We didn't talk about that, and we might have. I don't know. So shocking, wasn't it? I never saw that coming.
I was surprised this earlier. I figured
I was surprised it was Pence before Christie.
No, actually, Christie's got a little following because the Never Trumpers love him.
The Never Trumpers love him, and obviously the CEO of Krispy Kreme must be a Never Trumper or something. I don't know.
Or Ben and Jerry's, which they're not. They're
Ben and Jerry's, which they're not. Yeah, they are not Trump fans. So that's
not
true.
At all.
And that's not body shaming anybody, but it is. Anyways, Senator Josh Hawley. Let's move into this. Interesting exchange he had, and I think it was yesterday, if I'm not wrong, with Alejandro Mayorkas, who is the director of the Department of Homeland Security. He's talking about an employee at DHS who posted some tweets. And those tweets are very supportive of the attack by Hamas on Israel. Supportive of Hamas, obviously. But I want to show you the exchange here, and then we can come back and talk a little bit about it. But take a listen to this.
An employee of the Department of Homeland Security who posted these comments on October the 7th. That's not all she posted. She also posted this graphic. Now, this is a fake graphic, I want to be clear, but I think we understand it. This is a paraglider, a Hamas paraglider, depicted here with a machine gun flying into Israel. She posted it under her online alias with the celebratory Free Palestine. Mr. Secretary, what's going on here? Is this typical of people who work at DHS? This is an asylum and immigration officer who is posting these, frankly, pro-genocidal slogans and images on the day that Israelis are being slaughtered in their beds. What have you done about this?
4 things I'd like to say to you. Number one, your question to suggest that that is emblematic of the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security is despicable.
I'm sorry, what have you done? This person works for the Department of Homeland Security. Have you fired her?
That was one of 4 answers.
Have you fired her?
One.
Have you fired her? Don't come to this hearing room when Israel has been invaded and Jewish students are barricaded in libraries in this country and cannot be escorted out because they are threatened for their lives. You have employees who are celebrating genocide, and you are saying it's despicable for me to ask the question?
So I want you to notice one thing. The nonchalant, I don't give a shit about what you're going to say attitude that Mayorkas had while the senator is asking a very poignant question and one that needs to be addressed about an employee who is in support of Hamas and the brutal slaughtering of Israelis. That person, I don't believe, should be working for the Department of Homeland Security. And I can't remember, and maybe it says in here, and it does somewhere, I just don't have that jotted down, what that person's position was, but it was like a position, their position there is on immigration. And Jim, I don't know. What did you think about it? Do you want me to talk about it more, or do you want to just let the video speak for itself? It's up to you.
I mean, we can talk about it a little bit and the video speak for itself, but one thing I want to add, okay? Yeah. Most of the time, the average person can't tell you who the Secretary of Transportation is or who the Assistant Director of Human Health Services. And things like that. Most people don't, because they do their jobs and they stay quiet. Mm-hmm. Now, this falls under all the presidents. All the presidents have some shitters, right?
Yeah, correct.
Attorney Barr was a bad choice, obviously.
Yep, correct.
President Trump did. Attorney General. And is this cabinet not the absolute worst cabinet that we have ever experienced in our lives?
I've never seen a group of total buffoons, unexperienced, unknowledgeable, and un-American more than anything than this group. It's unbelievable to me. And that's why we know their names.
And it's only because of who they are and what they do.
Yeah,
that's it.
Correct. That's it. That's it.
Now, look, I am not saying a gay person can't do a great job. I think a gay person can do a great job at being the Secretary of Transportation.
Nothing to do with
this gay one that's in charge. Is a buffoon. He does it. He does it for the title. He does not. I mean, look at how the train derailments. He totally ignored it.
Yep.
Didn't even address it. He was blind. He went away. Didn't even say anything. And then the assistant health, Levine.
Look, the list
I'm not
goes on
saying
and on.
I'm not saying a guy that dresses like a woman can't be qualified to do the job. That person is not qualified to do the job.
Right. They may have the credentials and the education.
Did Mayor Pete really have?
But Mayor Pete, well, to Mayor Pete's defense, he was home breastfeeding his child. So,
well, that's true.
I mean, is priorities.
Yeah.
He was bonding.
But anyway, going back to that, this just shows you the idiocy.
Mm-hmm.
And look, Mayorkas may completely agree with Holly, with this guy. He can't admit it.
He can't admit it, and I don't think he does. I don't think there's any agreement because his vitriol anger back at Holly was very bizarre. Yeah. Like you have an employee. We're talking about an employee there who has posted things like, and I'll say the word, "Fuck Israel" and any Jew who supports Israel works for the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah.
And for that, it's just unbelievable to me. Jim, I'm stuck on Mayor Pete breastfeeding a child. My question here is, I mean, can you imagine if your father breastfed? What kind of, I mean, is there Jim?
There's equipment out there that you can do that. It's actually for fathers who want to experience. They don't feel it. It doesn't come out of them. They just
we know that.
They just wear
I know the biology of it all.
But my wife did a great job, and I felt no need to do that. I changed diapers, did what I was supposed to do from that standpoint. Never thought in a million years, I want to breastfeed my baby.
Never in a million years did I think would it ever be possible or never cross my mind that, oh, honey, you take a break for a while.
Of course, never did I think a man could ever win Miss Universe, but it's going to happen this year.
Again, quit knocking Portugal, man. Quit it. Jim, one other thing I want to get to before you, no. One other thing I want to get to, and then we can talk together. This story came out, and it is not shocking. Again, the great one, Dr. Fauci.
You got to be more specific.
Yeah, the Fauci.
Obama's the great one too. So.
Well, he's the Messiah, so there's a difference.
Good point. Well, that's
the son of the Messiah, Dr. Fauci. An investigation has revealed that the National Institute of Health, led at the time by the disgraced former director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Fauci, conducted experiments involving the SARS-like virus known as WIV1. These tests were conducted in a Montana lab in 2018, more than a year before the COVID-19 pandemic wreaked havoc across the globe. The NIH experiment involved infecting 12 Egyptian fruit bats. I mean, I think we call them homosexuals, not fruits. With a SARS-like virus called WIV1. That's very terrible.
Can't believe
the bat. What?
I can't believe
it's a joke. Yeah, come on, guys. The bats used in the experiment were acquired from a roadside Maryland zoo. How many roadside zoos have you driven by?
I don't know, but I don't know if I'd visit them.
What was in that roadside hot dog stand I just went to?
It had wings. I don't know.
It's like Anchorman. You know what I'm talking about. Using bats for their chicken. What a great scene. Great movie. Oh, my Lord. Anyways, on the 3rd, 7th, and 28th days of the experiment, 4 bats were euthanized and various organs, including their hearts, livers, kidneys, spleens, bladders, reproductive system, eyes, and brains, were harvested for examination. Hard to cut out a little spleen, I would think. In addition, the scientists conducted tests on white blood cell counts with antibodies of the bats. The research team concluded that the WIV1 coronavirus failed to induce a strong infection, noting only minimal signs of viral replication. This experiment was conducted at Rocky Mountain Laboratories in Montana in collaboration with the Wuhan Institute of Virology and the University of North Carolina. Mm-hmm. That's quite the combination of three things, huh? The lab is located just 15 minutes away from the presidential retreat Camp David, according to the Daily Mail. Well, that's weird. That's strange. That seems awful close to have a laboratory conducting viral infections. I don't know. Is it?
We have two incidences that have happened in the last 4 years that has been proven that they were self-induced, right?
Yeah.
The election, whether enough votes would have been to put Trump over the top. All I'm saying, okay, all I'm saying is something was fishy. Okay. Anyway, then we go to this coronavirus.
Yeah.
Another one. Yeah. And it's proven that it was in a lab, but we have people out there who refuse to see the evidence that has been placed.
Yes, we do.
And it's,
we now know some of those people.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my God, so the only people that have to really research are us. The other side doesn't have to. They just
read what this put in front of them or hear what this thought.
Rachel Maddow said it. Oh my God, it must be true.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just ridiculous. Because look, we listen to a lot of conservative people, but we always research.
Yeah, we do.
Research. Can they tell us to? Don't just take our word for it. Go out and look it up.
Go out and look yourself.
And we do.
Go out and find it. And we're telling everybody here, don't take our word for it. Go look.
These are two of the, don't you think, two of the biggest things that have affected this country in the last 4 years? And it has proven that something, okay, whether it happened the way you and I think it happened.
Yeah.
Something happened.
Something happened and got us to this point.
It's just kind of coincidental.
Something on purpose.
Fauci had something to do with the lab.
Yes.
And first it was the food in a market that was out there that, no.
Yep. Then the gain of function research back in the day, guys, we know. I mean, our listeners know,
our listeners are smart.
Well, that's true. And they research them as
two.
well. What's
except for two.
Well, but they are informed. So that they are. They're super informed.
Yeah.
And I think they're smarter because of us is really the reason. So they are smart.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And the names, for those of you who don't know, the name rhymes with Harry and Willie. Harry Willie.
Harry Willie.
Anyway, I digress.
You're a hairy wizard. Wizard.
You're a wizard.
Yeah. So anyways, crap's happened. Fauci's been involved. The virus came from China. And so there's that. Jim, you wanted to talk a little bit about FBI Director Christopher Wray.
Because I think
Wray.
this is important with what's been going on and what we've been talking about. But apparently this isn't happening. Apparently it's been debunked.
Yeah.
Anyway,
another story.
Okay, so FBI Director Christopher Wray was asked by Rick Scott, Republican, Florida, great senator. Asked him about, is the United States safer from foreign terror threats today? Are we safer than when Joe Biden took office from the day he took office? Senator Rick Scott said. Wray took an extended pause, sitting silently and appearing to be in deep thought before finally answering. Folks, if you didn't see it, I wish we had it up there. But if you haven't seen it,
if we do, I'll play it. If we do, we'll play it. If not, go ahead and talk about it, Jim. Go ahead.
And no, the Wray warned that the threat of terror against Americans has been raised to a whole other level due to ongoing conflict in the Middle East. Really?
Wow,
I mean,
rocket science.
Okay, so when a liberal FBI head director of the FBI says that a whole other level, hold on to your shorts, folks.
Yeah, I know.
Because they try to downplay everything.
That's true.
And now they have the Middle East conflict to blame if anything happens in the United States, not the open border.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Not the gotaways that got into this country. No, that's not that. So
it's due to the correct.
Again, the wonderful FBI and the wonderful liberal they spin everything. So if we get in terrorist attacks, which I'm sorry to say, but I believe it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It is not because of the conflict in the Middle East, folks. They will blame it, just like the book or not book. Damn it, the video that set off Benghazi. Right?
That's right. They'll blame it on it.
We found out. And we found out that wasn't true.
Correct.
So it wasn't debunked. But we need to. Sorry.
Yeah.
And we, but anyway, so here we are. You know that he goes silent. Like he had to have known the question was going to be asked.
Well, he had to have.
I mean,
right?
it's
you're the director of the FBI.
It's not like the card that President Biden gets that has pictures,
the questions and the pictures,
pictures on who to call out. And
yeah.
Anyway, and if you don't believe me, folks, go back and look that up too. He has this index card that he looked.
Not true. Fake news.
Anyway,
fake news.
But yeah, so the FBI director, a simple question: are we safer now?
I think we all asked that same question. Are you better now? So are you safer now?
And instead of coming out and saying, no, because the border's open and we don't know how many gotaways got through here. We don't know who they belong to. We don't know where they're at. No, he blames it on the Middle East.
Correct.
Which only happened October 7th.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago. You know. So
anyway.
Wow.
So Dale, what is your take on that? I mean, it's
same thing, Jim. It's the fact that the pause was really what got me, because I'm like, is he actually gonna tell us we're not? I mean, like I was like, is he gonna say those words? And in essence he did, you know, but in essence he did, but of course he was blaming it on other things, not the border, you know. Right. Because his buddy, you know, Mayorkas would have, you know, they can't be buddy there. To me, it's the obvious question. We know as Americans, we're not safer, we're not better, we're not, we aren't thriving patriotically as a country. There's no sense of patriotism because zero. And that's not with you and me or anybody listening or 80% maybe of the people in the nation, right? It's because what you see is the non-patriotic stuff that they want to show you. So for him to just say that, you know, basically, no, we're not. I think is at least he said something like that. You know, why we aren't. I know it's bullcrap. You know,
yeah.
I mean, I know his excuse is bullcrap.
Doesn't that also give you a little warning that maybe something is imminent?
So there's the next point. So is something imminent because of it, or because of who's come in across the country, or is something imminent because they've designed this plan of people coming over in the country? You know what I mean? Like, so the conspiracies always are going to go at this. Did a plane hit the Pentagon? It's a little weird.
Was Hamas attacking Israel the beginning? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I really don't. And I'm not going to speculate. I don't want to speculate, but our mind is not on what's going on here.
It's not.
I mean, our mind is on abortion. Our mind is on people wanting to change their sex and having children mutilated and changed into this. That's our focus. Our focus isn't on...
An actor from Friends died. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the focus. Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelce. Yeah. You know, that's the focus. You know, it's weird.
Yeah, and it's that. So that video, that comment, that picture that I told you, the person sitting on the chair sleeping when it was on fire.
Yeah,
that's what the majority of the American people are.
Yep, that's right.
And look, I was one of those people that just, you know what? I just want to go to work. I just want to be able to make my money and be able to pay my bills and be able to take care of my family and do this and do that. Just leave me alone, stay out of my life, and let me live my life.
Yeah.
Then you and I decided, no, we're going to try to do this. We're going to try to send a message and kind of hopefully it helps some people. But people, we have got to wake up. Wake up. Even the ones, even if you don't like, the people that we don't agree with.
Yeah.
I guarantee you there's something we can agree on. And a terrorist attack on this country, even though we have had domestic terrorist attacks on this country, January 6th, and
the school board, the parents at the school board meetings.
That's been debunked. Anyway, there have been attacks in this country, right? It's just you don't hear about it.
Yep, correct.
Because we can't talk about that. That's not right. So, I don't know. I just think something's coming. I agree with Chris and Chrissy Hutcherson, who is behind the scenes, and I trust her.
Very, very deep behind.
Just
the
be
scenes
prepared, folks, because
Yes.
we're going to be. Unfortunately, I think we're going to be going. Damn it! I just wish we were more. Because remember, after 9/11, boy, we were paying attention, and then we slowly started going away.
Of course, short memories. We all have. We got the short memory syndrome here.
And it's the same thing that happened to Israel.
Yep.
They got complacent.
They did, and they started making progress as far as peace
and
talks
Hamas
go.
was not going to allow. And
Hamas
I don't
is
care
like,
what anybody says.
I don't care what anybody says
Hamas,
either.
Hezbollah, Iran, they are not going to let Israel have peace with anyone because they have said they want them removed.
They want them.
Israel has not said we want to remove Iran from the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Israel has said we want to remove Hamas and Hezbollah from the face of the earth.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yep. I'm sorry. So who's doing that? Jim, let's get on to a couple of our stories before the interview. Again, stay tuned for that. Wayne Black and Tia Bess. Speaker Johnson hits back at the Senate. That's Speaker Johnson. Great choice, by the way. I might add.
Oh, so far.
Great choice.
So good.
So,
I mean, not Pelosi, but close. Sorry.
He's no Tip O'Neill, but yeah.
Okay. This was fantastic what the Republicans did. And of course, the Democrats, are being idiots as usual.
Well, they hate it, but that's so you know. It's
all right. So the Republican leaders released the text of the emergency aid legislation Monday, which includes over $14 billion for Israel in its war against terror group Hamas. The money would be offset by siphoning funds from President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, specifically dollars allocated towards the IRS.
Yep. Nice.
Okay.
Perfect.
So if you ask people in the Pentagon under oath or in a moment of truth, they will tell you the greatest threat to our national security is our own debt, Johnson told Fox Digital News. In our national interest to support our great ally and friend Israel in the time of need, but we also have to keep our focus on our financial stability, and so things must happen simultaneously. The bill separates Israel's aid, which is what I like. The bill separates the aid from Biden's original request of $106 billion in supplemental aid, which also includes money for Ukraine, and the southern border. I don't remember them being any money in there for the southern border, but oh well. Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, on the other hand, criticized, surprise, Johnson's bill on the Senate floor Tuesday. Schumer called the package woefully inadequate and denounced the offset provisions as poison pills that increase the deficit and help wealthy tax cheats avoid paying their fair share.
Oh my God, is he an idiot?
So he goes back to the IRS, was hired to go, and we've already seen this. We've already debunked it. That is not what those IRS agents are going to do. They are going to go after the 200,000 and less.
Yep.
Because why do you need 87,000 new IRS agents?
And a lot of weapons.
Yeah. So, but this is Chuck Schumer. It's because the money is being. Here was a bill. The money has not been spent out of that bill yet.
Correct.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to be responsible, like the American people have to be, right?
Yep.
Man, I would love to go to Hawaii.
Sure.
I don't want to go in debt to do it.
Not Maui,
but man, I would love to go to Hawaii. Yeah.
Too soon?
And so, too soon. But nope, not the Democrats.
Yep.
Nope. They, what the hell? We'll just print more money. Well, American people can't print money.
Can't.
All right. And I'm going to tell you, you go after the billionaires all you want to, it's going to come back on us.
It always does.
Go ahead. It
always does.
Billionaires don't pay taxes.
Correct.
We pay the billionaires' taxes, folks.
That's right.
And it just irritates me. But Johnson standing up to the guy. Now it's not going to be played on CNN. It's going to be shown on CNN, MSNBC as Johnson and the Republicans don't care about
all they care
about
about
the wealthy and don't care
mm-hmm.
about this and that.
Yeah.
When this bill was actually a bill of responsibility.
Correct.
We don't want to add more.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to take more out. So
here's
a way to save it. Mm-hmm. Let's do this. But see, the Democrats probably, if the Republicans came out and said, let's take some money away from our veterans, mm-hmm. or let's take money away from our military.
Yeah.
They probably would have signed it in a minute.
Oh, of course. Mm-hmm.
So, so just understand whether you agree with a Republican or not, and it's whatever. But in all honesty, for the most part, they try to do things fiscally responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Try. Not all of them, but the majority of them try to do things fiscally responsible.
And Johnson's solid in that arena. Solid choice.
From a guy that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
Holy shit, he's one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite.
Hey, you could thank Matt Gaetz for that now, Jim.
Yes. Actually, you know what? He's not looking so stupid, is he?
Did I say he did at the time? Or
no.
Okay.
Other people. I mean, which look, I think the guy's a little off his rocker.
He is,
but
Matt Gaetz.
He's not
weird.
wrong about a lot of the things. I just don't like the way he does things. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it works.
Gaetz is a little weird, and he's not always my favorite, but he was right to do this.
So, folks, that's what it is. That's all the bill is. That's all they want to do is they want to say, okay, we're going to give money to Iran, and they want to separate it as a separate bill because they know damn well that $106 billion that Biden promised during his little speech, majority of that's going to the Ukraine.
And how much was going to Schumer? I mean, he's so up in arms about it. I mean,
there you go.
And his little pet projects. So, yep. Well, hopefully that goes through and that happens. I think Johnson's the one to fight it, and I think it'll happen. So we'll see. Super smart guy, very well spoken, calm, very collective, and America first guy.
Yep.
So
the only thing I ask, please release the
January 6th footage, all of it.
Please release it so people have and there's another thing that was proven that maybe it wasn't. But anyway, I digress.
I want it released now. I also want it released next September.
On every network.
On every network. Jim.
If you're a responsible journalist, release it on every network. Let people decide.
Let people decide on their own what they're saying. So, that trial that's going on in Denver, Colorado about the 14th Amendment, trying to keep him off the ballot and all that. Been watching some footage on that, and boy, they have no basis to even try to remove him.
It doesn't matter. All it takes is just a couple states to have him removed.
It does, but New Hampshire or Maine or one of the two, they said this is unconstitutional. The people decide, and it was a Obama-appointed judge that decided
That's
that.
what
one.
needs to happen.
That's what needs to happen. Do your jobs. Do the right thing. Listen, more terror suspects reaching the U.S. We know that this all falls into line here. Hundreds of people on the FBI's terrorist watch list have almost certainly slipped into the United States amid millions of other illegal immigrants during the last 3 years, according to former federal officials and experts.
No, according to Ray, it only happened since October 7th.
Yeah, I know, but that's but if you ask officials and experts, you have to be. I love experts, don't you? I mean, you and I are an expert on the border.
Everything.
Are we not? We're like experts on all of this.
Hey, we're expert on transgenderism.
We're experts on transgenderism, the harm that the drugs do. We're experts. And why we are not on these shows, I don't know yet. But
I don't know.
When you want some true experts, because anybody can be one these days.
That's right.
I'm an expert.
Amen.
Hey, you have to be extremely naive to not significantly be concerned about this, said Rodney Scott, former chief of U.S. Border Patrol from 2020 to 2021. Regardless of what the Biden administration may claim, what is said during the campaign and the executive orders taken in January 2021 have been interpreted around the world as the border is open. You're insane if you don't think terrorists will use that to their advantage. I couldn't put it any better. You're insane. I mean, that's a strong word, and it's true if you don't think that's happening. In the aftermath of Hamas terrorist attacks against Israel on October 7th, President Biden, without mentioning the border, told 60 Minutes, quote, that the threat the U.S. could face from terrorists in the country has escalated. Because, again, Christopher Wray's following Biden's lead there and saying, or whoever developed that story, to say, now if something happens, it's because Hamas and Israel.
Right.
And then we'll have all the whack job idiots that support Palestine over here, threatening Jewish students in college, attacking synagogues, doing, although the terrorist threat linked to the border crisis is impossible to quantify, it's because it's open and you can't tell how many. Some experts find the available numbers alarming. During Biden's first 3 years, a record-shattering 6.5 million immigrants have been encountered by border authorities. That pace is increasing. The most recent monthly figure, September's, showed another record number of monthly encounters at 269,735. At the same time, federal officials have seen an alarming increase in border crossers listed on the U.S. Terror Screening Data Set, the official name for what is commonly called the terrorist watch list. In fiscal 2023, which ends this month, so November, I think, or December. October. I think it ended October, their fiscal, didn't it, Jim?
Yeah.
This month, Border Patrol agents have apprehended 172 such people, but all but 3 of them along the southwest border. When the U.S. places an entry or added by land, sea, or air, another 564 people on the watch list were caught, bringing the total to 736. By the way of comparison, just so we're fair, between fiscal 2017 and 2019, Border Patrol agents apprehended a total of 11 people on the terrorist watch list. Who was president? What administration was that? 11 compared to 736. Scott sounded an alarm to Congress in the 2021 period when the total jumped to 16. When a number doubles, it gets your attention, and we've moved way beyond that, clearly, as you can tell. Little bit. Yet the known unknowns, which is really what this is about, to use Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld's famous phrase, indicate the problem is even worse. According to experts, for one, the terrorist watch list is only as good as the information that has been entered into it. It's kind of like the voter logs or whatever, right? Not everybody on the watch list, said Todd Bensman, who has tracked Central America immigration routes and the southern border for years with the Center for Immigration Studies and is the author of Overrun, How Joe Biden Unleashed the Greatest Border Crisis in U.S. History. It's the title there. There have been thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people from the Middle East who have entered, and it's completely reasonable. Even the president has acknowledged it, to worry that some of those could be or could become terrorist threats, he said. Scott, who spent half a decade in counterterrorism at the Department of Homeland Security before moving to Customs and Border Patrol, said that as legal immigration channels dried up, criminals and terrorists began to seek people who would not appear on any intelligence data sheet. So, folks, here it is. 736 compared to 11 on the watch lists. Whether the watch lists are updated or whatever. Do you think the terrorists know who's on the watch list? Or do you think that I could be? So let's send them over with
to think
Consuelo from
I would
Nicaragua.
like to think they don't know, but I can't.
I'd like to think they know. And I'd also like to think that they know that they can't be trusted and that they have to then somehow find another way to come over here under aliases or fake IDs or whatever it is, or just sneaking over. But Jim, you're right, and we've been saying it. There's going to be a terrorist attack in this nation again. I feel it's going to be before the 2024 election. To be honest with you,
I do. Well, you and I both have said that since.
I think it's going to be sooner rather than later for multiple reasons, which we have discussed in the past. But yeah, I think it's going to happen. So, Jim, anything to add to that story before we get on?
I just want to add something. We've seen the violence right now.
Yeah,
with Palestinian against pro-Palestinian students against Israel.
Yep,
the violence, the threats, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If Israel's so bad, where are all the protests that Israel has against Palestine and Hamas?
Correct.
I don't see any of those.
Don't see any of those. That tells you everything.
We're out there.
Yep.
So
that's right.
I'm just saying who's the violent ones, who aren't.
Yep. Correct. Yep. I haven't seen many of the Palestinians being beheaded or anything. Have you?
Nope.
I haven't seen the Palestinian women being raped and tortured. The elderly being, just murdered in front of their families. I haven't seen that.
I want to believe the troops, the Israeli troops that go into those villages and saw some of the atrocities. So even if not all of them were true, even if some of them were fabricated a little bit beyond it, the point of the matter is atrocities happen.
And they were slaughtered one way or the other.
Yeah.
Innocent Israeli lives were slaughtered.
Now, again, somebody's going to come back and say, well, Israel's slaughtering innocent Palestinians. And look, Israel's not using Palestinians as shields.
Correct.
Israel's not.
Yep. Israel's not.
So anyway,
there you have it. And I think the hostage total is way higher than they're saying. So that's just my personal feeling on it. If I had to guess, there's upwards of 500, and don't tell me there's less than 10 Americans. That's a bullshit answer. Who gave that? Anthony, what's his name? Blinken. I don't know who gave. Was it him?
Blinken, wasn't it?
Wasn't it Blinken who gave that yesterday to the reporter? Yeah. Yeah, said less than 10. Well, that's not a number. I've answered your question. Let's move on. Okay, nothing to see here. And he's lying. It's not less than 10. Let's get to this interview real quick, folks. We have Wayne Black. You folks know who Wayne is. He's been on before. Amazing individual and super knowledgeable as far as security issues go. I mean, works security detail for Donald Rumsfeld. So, I mean, this guy knows his stuff. And he wrote the book School Insecurities, which if you have not gotten a copy yet or have taken one to your school boards, please do so. Because it's just a check-by-check list of how to protect children in school. And Wayne's joined by Tia Bess, the National Engagement Director. She'll explain what that's all about. She's out of Clay County, Florida, National Engagement Director of Moms for Liberty. Let me make sure I mention that. Here's that interview. Stay tuned for that. And Jim and I will be back to wrap this up when it's done. Well, everybody, this has been a long time coming. We have on the show, and so very happy to have on the show. I'll start with Tia Bess, who is the National Director of Engagement for Moms for Liberty. She's based out of Clay County, Florida. We've been trying to have Tia on for 2 years. I mean, I think 2 years now. Anyway, she's here. We're so glad she's here. She is joined by 3. That's right. She is joined by Wayne Black. Everybody knows Wayne, who's a listener and viewer of our show, author of School Insecurities and a securities expert in general, specifically when it comes to school security. We wanted to have them both on because we think both subjects and both organizations and both topics really mesh well together. Let's start here first. I'm going to start with Tia. What does the National Director of Engagement do for Moms for Liberty? And tell the people who don't know who you are, why you got involved in the organization.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on the show, guys. Yes, it's been a long time coming. So the National Director of Engagement is exactly as it sounds. I am engaging our parents on a national level. Not only is it our mission, but it's also my personal mission to educate, empower, and unify parents all across America. We're losing our kids in so many ways right now. And I speak from personal experience from my childhood, losing friends, losing family members. And I think it's time to stand up. So, yes, I'm the National Director of Engagement, and I'm on a national level. I travel through all 50 states. And I actually got started in this movement because of my son. As I mentioned before, my son is on the autism spectrum. He was 5 years old at the time during the COVID mandates, and they wanted him to wear a mask and a face shield and sit behind plexiglass for 8 to 10 hours a day. And that was something that I couldn't see him doing with him being a lip reader, him having.
Right.
Can we redo that one? My phone fell. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yep.
I need to start that one over, don't I?
You still there?
Okay, I'm going to start that over.
Just finish. You left off. We could tell you. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you left off with your son in the classroom with the plastic, whatever,
plexiglass.
Yeah, so I joined Moms for Liberty
I didn't realize it was
as the National Director of Engagement. And I just started off as a volunteer. I was volunteering because I saw that there was an issue in our schools and nobody was speaking up. No one was speaking up for our special needs kids who had autism or who were in the ESC programs. And I was fed up. And at that time, I wasn't involved in politics. I couldn't stand politics. I was a dedicated Democrat because it was generational, is what my family did. So that's what I thought the right thing to do was. And at that time during COVID, I realized it wasn't about a political party. It's about these kids. Who was going to let my son have a regular education? Nobody. So I just started speaking up at school board meetings, asking, when can our kids go back to school? When can my son receive ESC accommodations in person? Why are you taking money for my son's services and not providing services? And I guess you could say I went down that rabbit hole of trying to find out what's going on, trying to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Tia, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Sure. One of the questions that I wanted to ask, and that I've found out through this, and Moms for Liberty is really, really throwing this out there more than just the books, right? Because that's where everybody wants to talk about. But there's coming to light now, and I just found this interesting, that the graduation rates at these public schools are far off of what the actual assessment of the children at the levels of reading and math.
Yes.
And I'm so how is your area, or how is Moms for Liberty trying to tackle this portion? Because we know that the books you guys are out there, you're in force, you're not banning anything. You're just saying, do we really want our children to read these books? And but my question is, how do we get that out there? Because it almost seems like nobody cares. I mean, it's to the point that they're graduating 96%, but only 70% of the people graduating can read or write on the minimum level. So, what are we do? Or I guess we can say we, because I'm a member of Moms for Liberty. But what are we doing as a whole to try and attack this now?
Well, that's part of it too. Is in our position, we hold levels of government. We hold government officials accountable on all levels. So we start local with our school boards. We start local with our principals, with our schools. What are you doing to help our kids? What type of programs are in place for our kids? Only one third of fourth graders read on grade level, but we're getting funding. We can spend $80 billion a year on education, but our kids cannot read. You can go to any drive-through window and ask for change back, and the person cannot give accurate change without a cash register or a calculator. We are in trouble.
Right.
This is an SOS. You can look at the clock on the wall. Some kids cannot tell time. They can't. We have a major problem in education in this country. So what we do, we empower parents. Go to the school board meetings, find out what's available in your district, in your county, at your school. Be involved in your child's education. Be a volunteer. I'm a volunteer in my child's school, and that's where it starts. Having a relationship with the teachers, letting them see your face, having a relationship with the counselors, being involved. It's not the school's job to raise your child. It's our job. And that's pretty much what happened to us as parents. We became lazy and complacent. Send them to school for 8 hours a day. There's someone else's problem. And that's when COVID came in and woke a lot of people up, because you had a chance to see that your kids really are doing these things that the teachers are saying. The teachers are overwhelmed, and we just want them to teach reading, writing, and arithmetic. Basically.
Seems simple.
Is it too hard to ask?
No. Yeah, it is not. Let me ask Wayne. Let me switch over now to Wayne Black. Wayne, the relationship between what you've done, your background, your history, the book School Insecurities, and the organization Moms for Liberty. First of all, how did that come to fruition between that relationship? And then how can you help an organization like Moms for Liberty reach their local school boards and their communities?
Thanks. Well, the actual introduction, the synergy started with you two guys, really. I mean, I had known about Moms for Liberty. I joined. I think it's good. The synergy between what I'm doing and Moms for Liberty is really strong. Look, it's all about standing up and protecting our kids, whether we protect them from crime or whether we get them a good education. It's the same thing. The same schools that Tia is talking about are the same schools that I'm talking about that don't take care of the kids. Take care of them in terms of education.
Mm-hmm.
They don't take care of them in terms of safety. So the only way to do it, and this is the reason I say grandparents and parents need to stand up. The only way to do it is to stand up and say something. So that's Tia's message, and that's also my message. I mean, look, think about it like this. We're here for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
We're here for the kids. If not us, then who?
Yep.
If not now, then when?
Correct.
When are we going to protect those kids?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, that's very true.
Wayne, we're going through in my local public school. We're going through a security issue, security improvements throughout our school, and I am actually, thanks to you in your book, I'm able to follow along and to be able to tell an individual that's very close to me that that's you guys are heading in that direction. You're going right. Well, now there's I can't remember what they call the dang thing. Sorry, on a ballot this year to help with taxes and more money to go towards its securities of the schools, and it's only for security of the schools, and I believe that is going to overwhelmingly pass. My question to you is, I'm not hearing, and maybe that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, but I'm not hearing nationally that there's a movement for schools to do this. So are we in a complacency state, do you think, that we are, because we're not talking about it, people aren't talking about the security, we're not talking about these things. Do you think we're in that complacent stage where that we might, unfortunately, something could happen? Or do you think we are doing it, it's just being done behind the scenes?
No, I don't think we're doing it. I think we're doing it with private schools and some religious schools.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are panicking based on what's happening overseas and all the people that we have in the country now that are inside the country that want to do us harm.
Mm-hmm.
I predict we're going to have attacks. It's not going to be a Columbine attack with one or two people. It might be massive. So it's all over the map. Some schools are still in normalcy bias and denial,
Mm-hmm.
but they won't do anything, like Tia said, until we stand up. Parents and grandparents stand up and say, use that money that you have to educate our kids, not to go to Las Vegas for the teacher conference.
Mm-hmm.
Use it to educate our kids and to protect our children. That's your duty. That's by law. That's your civil responsibility under local parentheses. There's all kinds of cases on that. They've got to do it. They're never going to do it nationally until parents and grandparents stand up. That's the bottom line.
Yep, that makes sense. Tia, can you hear us? Are you there?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. Now, and I agree
that's
with,
fine. Let me
go ahead.
go on.
I agree with Wayne because
No. You go, Tia.
I went to one of those schools. I went to middle school and high school in neighborhoods that you would not walk in after dark. I mean, some of the neighborhoods that there's the highest crime rates, the highest domestic violence rate, teen pregnancy rates. I mean, pretty much I was in the hood. Neighborhoods where you have to have bars on your windows and shots fired detectors. And you have to learn in that environment. How is it safe? when you have to worry about your safety, how can you have a proper education? So we need for our students to feel safe. And like what Wayne was saying, unfortunately, there are some counties who are not reporting crimes to the police officers, to the sheriff's office. There are students who are bringing guns to schools in smaller rural communities like my own, and they're not reporting it to the sheriff's office. How can kids feel safe? You can't.
Yeah. Oops, sorry, you broke up there a little bit, Tia, on me. So I apologize if I didn't hear that. Let me, if you can, Tia or Wayne can answer this. Mainly Tia, for Clay County, if you're there and you can hear us. How is Clay County schools stacking up to the security issues that Wayne presents in his book? Is anybody checking on those? Is there any movement towards securing the schools even more than maybe they currently are? Is there any update you can give us on that, if you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So, I'm
Good.
working on something myself because it's not even just my county. Remember how we talked about the books and there being an issue, on the news here
Yes.
in Jacksonville. They just had 3 students who were plotting to kill other classmates. They had a hit list, and even in South Florida, they had students who were basing a hit list off the textbook of the book called Classroom Assassination. Have you seen this book, guys? Have you seen this book, Wayne?
No.
I have not seen it. I've heard it.
Yes.
I've heard
I have. It's outrageous.
Wow.
It's based on an anime series, and here's the basic thing. It says at the back, and these are in public schools. Ever caught yourself screaming, "I could just kill that teacher"? What would it take to justify such antisocial behavior, especially if he's the best teacher you ever had, giving you an F on the quiz? This book is telling you to hurt your teachers, hurt your classmates, and it's all a graphic novel. So even if you can't read, because our kids can't
Wow.
read, you can look at the pictures and you can look at it. It's violent. They're targeting our kids
Wow.
in so many different ways right now, and we have these books in my county. So yeah, I'm trying to rally the troops. I'm trying to speak to parents and grandparents, and they understand that it starts with your mind. If you're putting this junk in your mind that the way to solve your problem is killing your classmate or killing your teacher, that brings it back to Wayne. How can schools be safe? They can't.
Yep. They can't. Yeah. I mean, unless they implement this, but they still got to take that kind of literature out of the school libraries. I mean, the fact that that's even, we talk about and Wayne and Tia, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, the pornographic books that are within the school system, pure pornographic books, no doubt about it. But then this with the violence, I mean, who are these people allowing this to happen? Who are these librarians or whatever you want to call them? Media specialists.
I mean,
What's that, Tia?
where's
I'm
the
sorry.
accountability? I said, where's the accountability?
Yeah.
Where's the accountability for what's going on in our schools? Because there is correlation. We all know that youth who are have early sexual exposure can become more prone to violence. There's a correlation between the two. So what are we doing to combat that? Why aren't people more up in arms at school board meetings? So that's why we're trying to work with Wayne and other organizations to let parents know it's not just about books. That's the tip of the iceberg. Our kids need to feel safe. And it's not until we show up and speak up and be a voice, are they going to hear us? Are they going to actually implement a plan for safety? Because it's the last on their list right now. Everyone's chasing money. That's the most important thing for most of these schools. It's funding. If the numbers report school violence, they don't get as much funding.
Wow. Incredible.
So,
Wayne,
somebody at those schools makes a buying decision. So if you're in a doctor's office, that a pharmaceutical drug retailer comes in and brings donuts and sandwiches in the morning and sees if the doctor can purchase a certain kind of drug. Same thing with the school. Somebody comes in and schmoozes to get them to purchase.
Yep.
And that's the person or persons at schools that we need to light up like a Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wayne and Tia, this is for both of you, and we'll let you both answer this. But we did an interview the other day on AI, and some of the things and some of the stories that we saw are kind of scary in a way, because reality, right? And so now we're talking about children today. They're in school. They're not necessarily being taught the proper way. Social media is all they know. They can't do basic math, but by God, they can figure out a cell phone, right? And then so now we have this situation where AI is coming in, and there's some stories that can be automatically made that is not true, but it doesn't matter because these individuals are going to believe it. Mm-hmm. So how do we combat that? Because we know it's going on, right? We know TikTok with China background and all that stuff on what they could be doing. So how can we, as parents and or just residents of your area, help to control this where kids can't, where they're watching this stuff on social media, but reality from fake, what are we looking at? I mean, do you guys see this as a problem, or is it just me?
Go ahead, Wayne.
And either one of you can answer it.
Okay, well, I can tell you that AI and video games and stressors at school, even if you break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, if you're an adolescent, those are triggers. And we know from previous shooters in schools that triggers them. So that last thing we need is anything violent or sexual in middle schools or elementary schools or even in high schools that would cause a trigger. What happened to reading, writing, and math and right. history and those kinds of things? I don't know how we got here, but the only good thing that COVID did was allow parents to look over the shoulder, and now we know how we got here.
Yep. That's right. Tia, I think that's probably, he said it, and I think we all are thinking it. How did we get here? It's been going on for quite a while, at least based on other Moms for Liberty members we've talked to. As far as school security goes, we know all the way back to Columbine so these have been news stories. These have been newsworthy stories. My fear is that there's so much going on in the world that we're being distracted from what's happening right here in our own communities with this kind of fear at schools, with this kind of literature at schools. I just feel, that it's not getting the airplay that it deserves. That's for sure. And when we talk about triggers, which is, I'm glad you brought that up, Wayne. There's so many things that trigger and things even trigger special needs students even more. So when you're talking about like Tia, your son on the autism spectrum and all that, it doesn't take much, to trigger at times, based on the levels, and so that scares the living hell out of me, that this kind of thing is happening within the school system and this literature is just there. And, who's really in control here? It's not much of a question as it was a statement, that I'm just really concerned about the youth in this country, and not because the youth are being raised incorrectly or something like that. It's like you said, they're 8 hours a day involved in school systems that aren't helping them whatsoever. And they're harming them. I mean, and parents, like you said, Tia, they got to stand up, they got to do it. But then you've got an administration now that classifies them as, a domestic terrorist, yeah, extremist. I mean, heck, you were at the summit. You know what everyone was saying outside there, and a lot of parents, they can't handle it like somebody like you or a lot of the chapter chairs or anything like that in the organization, or certainly somebody with Wayne's experience. So it's hard to gather the troops to be ridiculed like that. People don't like it, so how do you combat that? I mean, I guess you just keep fighting. You just keep fighting, right? Keep speaking up and fighting.
But this is how I see it, and I know how we got here. We have been our society has been deteriorating for the last 30 years. And we all realize that those of us who were around before the internet, we know exactly what's going on. Because the the government has weaponized kids against parents. If you remember the 1-800 child abuse commercial, if your parents are abusing you, call 1-800 child abuse. And that was for simple things. Some kids would threaten their parents. I have to do the dishes. I'm going to call child abuse on you. So the parents are afraid of the kids. The teachers at school are afraid of the kids. The police officers are afraid of the young people. No one has accountability. And now the kids don't fear anyone. You can't tell anyone's child anything. And I've worked in the school system. I was a long-term sub. I was a parent liaison, so I understand that our kids are hurting. So it takes parents like us who stand up, who know what society was. There was a time where you would respect your elders. You would respect your teachers. Never in a million years would I have thought about going to punch my teacher in the face,
Nope.
or all the school violence that's happening. No. And yes, we are called names. Yes, they look at us like you're crazy when you go to speak up at a school board meeting about school safety or being involved in your child's education. But it takes a strong person. It takes someone to stand up and say, I don't want for my child to be incarcerated at a young age. I have to be the one to stand in the line until my child is developmentally and emotionally ready to make secure decisions. It's like they're spoon feeding our kids violence, and it's hard. Yes, it's very hard. I speak up, and some days I'm called so many things. I'm called a white supremacist. I have been called
that's
yeah.
How dare
you? Clearly you are. Yeah.
But and it shouldn't be that way, and that's why I'm speaking up, because I have a brother who's incarcerated. I wouldn't want that for anybody else's child. He's been in and out the juvenile justice system. Why would I want that for anyone else's child? Because of the violence.
Correct.
Why? So therefore, if you know better, do better. That's our job as a parent. If we know better, do better. Each one, teach one, educate. A lot of our young people would not be in the situation that they're in now if we actually came to them and spoke to them honestly, with no filter. So we're not in a good spot. And my biggest hope is that parents can lose their ego and speak up. How many young people are in jail right now for in the juvenile justice system for being accused of sexual assault or maybe misunderstanding issues? And that's my biggest fear. Is my son, he has autism.
Right.
People on the autism spectrum don't read social cues. They don't read social cues very well. So it's a double job where you have to educate your kids. Listen, no means no. No one's teaching these issues at all at school. No one's talking about boundaries. No one's talking about resilience. No one's talking about, there's so many great characteristics that we learned as young people and coping skills. They're not teaching it at school. If you're upset, go shoot the school up. Yeah. If you're upset, go punch a teacher in the face.
Yeah.
That's our end game. That's what we're teaching our kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's sad.
Wayne, you want to add to that at all, or?
Sure. Look, the very definition of an active threat is anything that's happening now. And that could be a trespasser, it could be an active shooter, it could be anybody doing anything at school, including what Tia's talking about. We have an active threat in our schools with these insane books that somebody bought and this indoctrination to our kids. That's an active threat. We can't wait. We can't, as parents and grandparents, we can't say, well, maybe next school year I'm going to do something. No. Cancel that dinner, get up and go to that school board meeting. And if things are sideways in your jurisdiction, start to raise hell and ask them, hold people accountable. So this is what Tia's talking about, is a current active threat.
Yep, exactly. Well said.
One of the things because I've really witnessed this at a high school football game recently, and it's a lack of respect. And so much so that the respect of anyone, whether it's elders, whether it's your like police officers, teachers, they just don't respect you. And I was at a football game where they were playing the national anthem, and there was, we were waiting in line for a coffee, and so then when they started playing, I turned around, took off my hat, hand to heart, and all we were doing was getting, trying to get the kids to quiet down, because the kids kept walking around, walking in front of us, talking really loud, and so that's a form, to me, that's the disrespect. And if they don't respect that, and then they go into a school, and I've seen teachers, they want to be their friends. Well, you need to be respected. Okay, and that doesn't necessarily mean friends. You need to be respected. You may do things that discipline the child, but they respect you. Whereas now it's the respect is gone, and so when the respect is gone, that's when everything just falls apart. Yep. And so it's just upsetting when you see stuff, especially when you can't stop and just salute the national anthem.
Well, I mean,
2.5 minutes, I think, is what.
But how's that respect? That's the thing they're fighting, and both of you are fighting, is you have a teachers union that doesn't push that, doesn't portray respect in any way, shape, or form. Presidents of teachers unions, they're literally breeding this environment and creating this environment, and I think by design and on purpose. It's a control factor. They have control over the children. They want to have control over the parents' involvement in the schools. It stems from the top down, so it's leadership down, as far as I'm concerned. And until that changes, you'll never get it nationwide. So the key is to change it locally, apparently. I want to ask Tia real quick before we go, and then we'll finish. But local school boards in Clay County, and I'm asking you, and I know you're national, but in specifically Clay County, what has been the have you had success rates with getting folks in there that are on the side of an organization like Moms for Liberty?
Okay, you mean as in school board members, or just people coming to speak up as parents?
Yeah, school board members, superintendents. Yes. Yep. Yeah, members.
All right, so we have, I have a few school board members who are on the Clay County School Board. I would definitely say, Michelle Hansen, Aaron Skipper. We actually had to turn our school board. We had to flip our school board for people who were in the community who understood what was going on. Michelle Hansen of Clay County, she was a teacher in the community for years. And it was because she was empowered, because she worked in this community, she knew that there had to be a change. And that has to happen from, it starts from the top down, but it takes motivated people who know the path that our country is supposed to be on. They know, like, we understand what it was like before and what it can't go back to. And it took her standing up and running for school board. And she actually had 40,000 votes. It was grassroots because we wanted change. Nice. We believed in her. And we knew that she's a regular person just down the road, just like all of us, who wants change. She can't be bought, and that's what makes a difference. A lot of people come into office, and they can be bought. And that goes from superintendents, media specialists. We have to set the example. That's why our kids are acting like this. And it starts at home. I haven't had a chance to go to many Clay County school board meetings because, of course, I'm national. But it's a repeated trend all across the nation. Last year, Moms for Liberty won 275 school board seats.
Yep. Amazing.
That's a lot of empowerment. That's a lot of people who have said enough is enough and they're fed up. And it's not until you get fed up is there going to be change. So we have to meet each other.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. I agree. That kind of change also will lead to people being more open to school security issues. That's the change and the side that leans towards those issues, which is really going to be a benefit for both of you, but more importantly, a benefit for the children, which is what it's all about. Making those changes. I don't think and that's weird. The people that don't even, it's going to benefit those who even disagree with both of you. It's going to benefit their children, and they don't even realize it. And that's right. The sad part. But the key is, it's not the child. It's about protecting the child. It's not what they think or their parents think, but it's all about the protection of it. Can I ask really before we go, and I'm going to ask both of you, Tia first, how can people get involved with Moms for Liberty, with your organization? How can they reach you? And Wayne will, of course, the same question goes to you as well.
All right. Well, thank you for asking that question, Dale. So if you want to join our organization or you want to even learn more about it, you can go to www.momsforliberty.org. Right now, we are in 48 states and we're thriving. We have 300 chapters, 130,000 members nationwide. And if you want to contact me, you can send me an email at tia@momsforliberty.com. .org. And right now we're in 48 states. We need Utah. We need Vermont. So if there's patriots out there who are willing to stand up and you want to learn more, go ahead.
Wow, Utah.
What were you saying?
Yeah, there's not one in Utah.
I would think Utah would be a state that would have already been.
Wow.
So there's not Utah and there's not Vermont, but our parents across the nation are facing the same issues. And I travel nationwide. So if you have groups and organizations that you want me to speak at, send me an email and I will stand up. There's people on both sides who are against school safety, who are against what's going on within our schools. And they will stand up against me and Wayne and call us crazy and everything else. But we see the writing on the wall for our country. We see the path that we're going down. But that's how you can get a hold of me as well. I'm also on social media. So look me up. Wayne?
Well, yeah, great, Wayne.
Well, WayneBlack.com. You can get the book there. It has a checklist. You can take it to the board meeting and ask them the questions. My email's on there at WayneBlack.com. I'll take emails from parents. I'm happy to help. And if you have a stubborn case, I'll weigh in and either write an op-ed or help you make that school board member or that school board either famous for doing the right thing or infamous for doing the wrong thing. Yeah. So I'm not running for office. I cannot be fired. And so I can tell the truth and attack anybody that needs to be attacked. That's messing with our kids. It's as simple as that.
Simple. Very, very simple. Yeah. Jim, any last words from you?
And we just want to make sure that we're not talking about a situation, an unfortunate shooting where we could have been talking about it beforehand. And that's where the complacency comes. So Wayne, I think it's just very important that we do try to get it out there too, whether it's school board members or representatives within your school or city boards. I mean, anything. Just try to get this out there because we don't want. How many times do you want to sit there and say, well, prayers for that family? We don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
We want to stop it before it happens.
For sure. That's the key. Yep. That's the key. To you both, thank you so much. Not just for coming on with us, which is a great honor for both Jim and I, but the hard work that you are both doing. When they're calling you names, you're doing the right thing. That's the bottom line. We know it at this point. So you both are doing tremendous, amazing work, and all in the name of protecting children. So again, to you both, thank you for coming on. We look forward to having you back. Tia, finally, thank you. It was great after 3 years of trying. I'm sure.
No.
And there she goes right at the end. Guys, that's why I was cutting it short, but that's kind of where it happened. So let's just say goodbye now, Wayne, to our good friend. We appreciate you and your work and everything you do. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Keep the fight.
My pleasure, guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Keep up the fight. It's worth it. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye. So as most interviews go, Jim, somebody's thing gets wonky at the end there, and it was Tia's. So anyways, but listen, it's She lives in a very rural area, so Wi-Fi isn't always the best and all that. But we got her on finally, and she's an incredible person and very energetic and friendly and knowledgeable. She knows all about the school book, the porn and school book issues. She is really a good spokesperson for that organization, and works her tail off for them, and gets ridiculed like they all do, and harassed and
as you heard, she's called a racist.
She's called a racist.
She's a white supremacist.
She's a white supremacist. If you're listening and not watching, Tia isn't white.
Nope,
she's not white. She is not white. But incredible person, incredible mother, incredible individual, and of course Wayne. Just rock solid, solid.
If
dude,
nothing,
man.
if
a
no
man's man, Wayne is.
If
that's
two
for sure.
groups of people should come together, it's Moms for Liberty and Wayne.
It should.
I mean, it's because
they're a perfect match for each other.
The first Moms for Liberty summit we went to, there was a breakout session for school security and all that stuff, and it wasn't as detailed as what Wayne Black can do. But I think it needs to happen. I think Wayne
I think so too.
Insight that needs to be there, and we'll try to push it. We know people within Moms for Liberty will.
Well, I'm asking all the people from Moms for Liberty listening now. Get Wayne's information and send it to Tiffany and Tina as well. They're bound to listen to you more than they will us. As far as like who could be at a breakout session, obviously. But if you have influence there, he needs to be there. This is an important subject matter, and he'd be an amazing breakout session at their next summit next August. So, if you're listening from Moms for Liberty, make sure you get Wayne's information. You can reach out to us. We can get you his information, or just send him this episode and say, this is the guy you got to have there. Because he'll do it. And it's important. It's that important before what's inevitably going to be another school shooting. It's just going to happen. Right. It's literally going to happen. So, again, thanks to both of them. We really do appreciate it. And it was great to have them on, and we look forward to speaking with them again. Jim, do you have anything else to add to the end of this show? No, nothing. Nothing to say.
Do I need to say something?
Huh?
Do I need to say something?
Well, no, I mean, you can maybe, thank our listeners for their support, or, something that's a little,
Thank you, listeners, for your support.
Not so self-centered, not all about Jim. Maybe something that's
never. It's never about Jim.
Jim, it's always about you.
It's never about me.
When I have something that I need to discuss about the show, who do I call, Jim?
Ghostbusters.
I mean, you used to look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. You don't anymore, you stupid idiot.
Thank you.
Jim, you're the best. Thank you for your assistance, as always. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope all our listeners have a great weekend. Again, like, follow, and share on Rumble, maybe. Again, I'm going to try to get that episode up. I'll put it up. Hopefully this one does. Again, if for some reason it's not, we are on YouTube again. Matter of time, I think. Before we're not, but we are on YouTube.
And for this weekend, watch those recently claimed number 1 Ohio State Buckeyes do battle with Rutgers. I just wanted to cause some controversy there.
Yeah, thank you for causing the controversy. Well, if you name me another school that's beaten 2 top 10 teams, then just let me know. I'll wait. So, nobody can. Go Buckeyes. Anyways, Jim, have a good weekend.
Nobody's lost to more top 10 teams than Indiana has, though.
And that's why nobody even knows they have a football program. Good try, though, against Penn State, honestly. It's a good try. Folks, have a good weekend. You and your family have a good weekend, Jim. And until then, God bless these United States of America.
Absolutely.
And thank you all for your support. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right.
See you, Jimmy. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the 2 Guys, 1 Coup podcast with Dale and Jim. Remember, you can watch on YouTube and Rumble and listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it, and it helps others find us when searching for podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and TikTok. Just search for 2 Guys, 1 Coup. That's the number 2 Guys and the number 1 Coup, C-O-U-P. Thanks again for listening to the 2 Guys, 1 Coup podcast, and God bless the United States of America.